We have been discussing about the paper on environmental ethics, which is offered as a part of the GE Semester 7 for philosophy from the Philosophy Department, University of Delhi. And in continuation, we would be engaging today with the theme of ecofeminism. This is Dr. Ananya Barua, Associate Professor in the Department of Philosophy, Hindu College. So, ecofeminism emerges at the intersection of feminist thought and environmental philosophy, arguing that the domination of women and the degradation of nature arise from the same patriarchal, hierarchical mindset. Its boundaries or the conceptual framework are defined by how it meets the criteria of both feminist ethics and environmental ethics. Now, when we are talking about the boundaries of feminist ethics, it is pivotal that at this stage we talk about the boundaries of ecofeminism as feminist ethics. Feminist ethics challenges systems that perpetuate gendered oppression. Ecofeminism satisfies these conditions through the following boundaries. Number one, critique of patriarchy and hierarchy. Ecofeminism identifies patriarchy as a system that subordinates both women and nature. Meets feminist ethics by exposing social structures that create gender-based oppression. Number two, valuing women's lived experiences. It includes the experiences of, say, women farmers, caregivers, tribal or indigenous women, or women dependent on natural resources. Feminist ethics emphasizes situated knowledges and experiences and not abstract principles. Number three, emphasis on care, empathy, and rational ethics. Ecofeminism adopts an ethic of care which values relationships, interdependence, and emotional intelligence. This aligns with feminist ethics that prioritizes relational responsibility over rigid moral rules. Number four, rejection of dualisms. Ecofeminism critiques binary oppositions such as man versus woman, culture, nature, mind, body, reason, emotion, and so on and so forth. Feminist ethics rejects these dualisms because they justify domination and exclusion. Number five, advocacy of social justice and equality. Ecofeminist frameworks include calls for gender justice, dismantling gendered economic disparities, resisting social inequalities embedded in ecological crisis. Fully aligned with the feminist ethical goals of equity. Now, the boundaries of ecofeminism as environmental ethics is something that we are going to focus on. Environmental ethics focuses on the moral relationship between humans and nature. Ecofeminism meets these criteria through the following boundaries. Number one, intrinsic value of nature, which means ecofeminism does not treat nature as a resource but as a possessing inherent worth. That is, nature for them is an end in itself and not a means to an end. It satisfies environmental ethics by recognizing the moral standing of ecosystems. Number two, critique of anthropocentrism. Ecofeminism rejects human-centered domination over nature. It mirrors environmental ethics' movement towards biocentrism or ecocentrism. Number 3, emphasis is on the interconnectedness. Now, by this interconnectedness, we mean nature, women, and marginalized communities are seen as interconnected. Environmental ethics emphasizes ecological interdependence and systematic thinking. Number 4, advocacy for sustainable and communal living. Ecofeminism supports community-based resource management, indigenous ecological knowledge, and sustainable agriculture. These positions fall squarely within environmental ethical frameworks. Number 5, prioritizing ecological justice. Ecofeminism asserts that ecological degradation disproportionately harms women and the poor. Environmental ethics increasingly includes environmental justice, which ecofeminism advances strongly. Now, we would be trying to connect the feminist and the environmental ethics vis-a-vis what we call it as the integrative boundary. Ecofeminism is not merely a fusion of two fields, which is eco or nature and feminism, but a holistic paradigm with its own boundaries. And these frameworks of ecofeminism are as follows. Number 1, shared logic of domination. Both women and nature are oppressed by the same structure: patriarchy, capitalism, colonialism. So they connect that as much as women are oppressed by men, of course it's also the vice versa, but they go by this, that as women are oppressed by men, nature is oppressed by capitalism. So they see patriarchy, capitalism, colonialism as the other. Number 2, moral responsibility beyond humanity. Ethical responsibility expands from only humans to both humans plus non-human nature, which means that they're very clear that the sentient, or to be emotionally sentient, it has to embed from humans. However, it is just not limited to humans alone. It has to also expand or take in its fold the non-human angle too. And when they say non-human, it is definitely the nature that they are talking about. Number 3, care ethics broadens to the planetary level. This ethics of care, traditionally applied to relationships, now extends to ecological care. Number 4, intersectionality as an ethical compass. Ecofeminism considers how gender, ecology, class, caste, race, and geography shape vulnerability. So, ecofeminism in a way satisfies feminist ethics by challenging patriarchy, valuing women's experiences, and promoting relational care. It satisfies environmental ethics by rejecting anthropocentrism, advocating ecological justice, and affirming the intrinsic value of nature. Its framework lies in understanding the shared systems of domination, the interdependent nature of life, and the ethical expansion from gender justice to ecological justice. Now, ecofeminism's philosophical critique of patriarchy and the exploitation of nature also needs to be addressed. We must understand that ecofeminism argues that the logic that oppresses women is the very same logic that exploits nature, and this is where the premises agree. Its critique is not merely social or political, but deeply philosophical, grounded in theories of power, representation, ontology, and ethics, which are number one, critique of patriarchy, which is the logic of domination. Ecofeminism identifies a specific philosophical pattern within patriarchy known as the logic of domination. Number two, the dualistic thinking or the binary oppositions. Patriarchy constructs rigid dualisms such as man, woman, culture, nature, reason, emotion, mind, body, and they say that women and nature are placed on the inferior side of these boundaries. So who goes or has the upper hand here? It is man, it is culture, it is reason, it is mind. And the inferior side of these binaries goes to women, nature, emotion, body. And this is also why the Cartesian split of René Descartes, who is known as the father of modern philosophy, was critiqued by Gilbert Ryle and others. For René Descartes did come up with the mind-body split, emphasizing on the mind being more important than the body. Inevitably, the body went to the woman who was supposed to take care of taking birth of the children, taking care of the home. So women, nature, emotion, body were considered the other or the inferior. And this is where ecofeminist finds it disturbing or troubling. So the philosophical implication, as we understand, is that these dualisms justify hierarchical thinking, a belief that one category is superior and therefore has the right to dominate the other. For instance, capitalism over nature, man over women, reasoning over emotion, mind over body, and so on and so forth. This again brings the hierarchical pattern to what in ecofeminism we call as value hierarchies. Now, what are these value hierarchies? So, they say that patriarchy not only divides but ranks, or rather gives position, the ranking position, where reason is considered superior to emotion, and as such, reason is considered more valuable over emotion. Second, culture is considered superior to nature, which again means culture is considered more value laden over nature. Again, man is considered superior to woman, which obviously the ecofeminists are not very happy with this, and man is given more value than woman. So the philosophical insight is this, that once hierarchy is legitimized, domination becomes naturalized. And this brings in the feature in philosophy, which is the instrumentalization of the other. Now, what is this instrumentalization of the other? The other has been the one who is vis-a-vis the inferior, the nature, the mind, the body, the woman. So here when they talk about instrumentalization of the other, they connect that anything associated with femininity is treated as a resource, emotion, labor, reproductive capacity, so on and so forth. Similarly, nature is treated as an object to be used, not as a subject with intrinsic value. That is, nature is used as a means. Nature is taken as the other. Nature is taken as an object over being the subject with its intrinsic goodness. And as such, there is this entire range of critique for the exploitation of nature, and this segment, which is the critique of exploitation of nature, is the core part in the ecofeminist environmental philosophy. So, ecofeminism extends its critique to metaphysics and ethics behind environmental degradation. They claim that anthropocentrism mirrors androcentrism. Now, what are these? Let's explore. Just as patriarchy places man at the center of moral priority, which is called as androcentrism, human-centered ethics places humans above all other life, anthropocentrism. And this is where it is disturbing or it is problematic. Ecofeminism argues that these are the same pattern of privilege and domination. Number 2, nature as passive, women as passive. So, both women and nature are conceptualized as silent, passive, to be controlled, lacking agency, and this is where philosophically this is a metaphysical misrepresentation. For nature is not silent, nor is women silent. Neither can we say nature to be passive, or nor is nature something to be controlled, nor is nature nor are women those who lacks agency. For nature is dynamic, women are autonomous, but patriarchal metaphysics denies this. Number 3, mechanistic view of nature, which is rooted in the Enlightenment philosophy. Now, thinkers like René Descartes and Francis Bacon promoted an image of nature as a machine to be dissected, transformed, and controlled. Ecofeminists argue that this mechanistic view also shaped cultural attitudes towards women's bodies and labor. This is where the logic of domination or the shared root comes up. Philosopher Karen J. Warren calls this the logic of domination, which operates in 2 steps. Creates a difference, man, woman, human nature, and he uses this difference to justify subordination. This logic again explains both, which is the oppression of women under patriarchy, the exploitation of the environment under anthropocentrism. Therefore, ecofeminists or ecofeminism's critique is unified and holistic. Number 4, epistemological critique or the knowledge systems. Ecofeminists argue that patriarchal knowledge systems, there has been privilege abstraction over embodiment, privilege domination over cooperation, privilege control over relationality. This leads to scientific paradigms that justify environmental manipulation and devalue experiential, indigenous, and women's knowledge. The ethical critique from moral exclusion to moral inclusion. Ecofeminism criticizes the narrow circle of moral concern in patriarchal ethics. Women's suffering is minimized. Non-human nature has no moral standing. Only rational, autonomous agents count in traditional moral theories. So, ecofeminism expands moral concern by integrating number 1, relational ethics, number 2, ethics of care, number 3, interdependence, number 4, recognition of intrinsic value, and this creates a non-hierarchical ethical framework. So we see that ecofeminism reveals that patriarchy and environmental exploitation are not separate issues. They are expressions of a shared logic. The domination of the other through dualism, through hierarchy and instrumentalization. Philosophically, ecofeminism demands dismantling oppressive dualisms, restructuring moral frameworks to include nature, recognizing interdependence, revaluing care, embodiment, and relationality. Thus, ecofeminism provides a systematic critique of oppression, showing why gender justice and ecological justice cannot be separated. Now, this part is important here because we must remember a lot of such theories is just an offshoot of what the Cartesian dualism was all about. Again, Cartesian dualism goes to René Descartes, who came up with the cogito ergo sum theory, which is I think, therefore I am, therefore making thinking more important over the body. The minute one thinks, we understand that it is the mind or the mental faculties that is more functional, that is more primordial, that is more important over the secondary status of the body. And had the mind and the body been given the same status, there would have been no problem as such. Problem occurs because the father of modern philosophy, René Descartes, had claimed, I think, therefore I am, cogito ergo sum, and this created a lot of offshoot theories like we are discussing right now on ecofeminism, where man versus women, nature versus culture is seen as man against women and capitalism against nature. So this is how ecofeminism is a result of the Cartesian dualism split. Now, going ahead, ecofeminism stands at the crossroads of feminist theories and environmental ethics, arguing that the domination of women and the domination of nature are rooted in the same premise. And what is this premise? We see that when examined through an ecofeminist lens, each feminist theory, be it the liberal theory, the Marxist or the socialist theory, the radical, the psychoanalytic, the postmodern, or the indigenous approaches to feminism or ecofeminism, offers tools to reconstruct a more ethical human-nature relationship. We will be discussing all of these approaches one by one now. Number one, liberal feminism. In liberal feminism, the focus has been on equality, rights, and environmental access. The contribution, as we can see in liberal feminism, it focuses on equal rights, freedom, and access. Through an eco-feminist reinterpretation, it asserts women must have equal access to environmental resources, land rights, and ecological decision making. It is as simple as saying that it is a self-defeating exercise if people gather in an conference center in an AC room and talks about global warming. One needs to get out of the AC room and go to the grassroots level to understand the real issue. Similarly, when policies are being made for women inclusion or women development, but if there is no women included in such a meeting, it becomes self-defeating. So something which is done for the women there has to be participation, or there has to be the representation from the other. And this is where they consider environmental degradation disproportionately, which affects women, especially in rural and agrarian societies. Environmental policies, they claim, must incorporate gender sensitive frameworks, and it always cannot be the task of the one who is considered more important, here the man. Women too ought to be included, and the approach of gender sensitive will only make this framework complete. This is how the liberal feminism is all about. There, of course, have been approaches as to how it improves a human nature relationship, and they say that by promoting inclusion, legal reforms, and equal participation in environmental governance, liberal feminism ensures that ecological decisions are more democratic and socially just, leading to better environmental outcomes. We will be discussing more of these approaches in our next class. Thank you so much.